Hello, 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 and welcome to another episode of The Side Quest. It is yours truly, Dolly Demovsky, hopping on, which hopefully this isn't a solo show. Taylor did say he was going to try to make it. JJ's sick, so he's kind of out of it. Zach's still doing some actual work stuff, so he's probably out tonight. But Taylor may join us. If not, that's okay. You got me. I know a few friends actually decided to message me back on Twitter and said, "Hey, I'll hop on." But I don't want to like jerk people around at the last second. Be like, "Hey, come on the show right now," which is always kind of a weird thing. I should probably plan ahead next time. So all you friends that that did say you would mind being on, both of you. I will get you on and we'll plan it this time. And yeah, we'll have a good time for sure. Um, until then, though, y'all are stuck with me, and then whoever else shows up from the team. It is Friday night. We're gonna have a little bit of a shorter episode tonight, mostly because it's Friday and I'm tired, and it's a weekend, and I'm sure y'all are hoping to get going with your weekends. Surprisingly, there's a lot to talk about, and I don't want to like delay getting all that stuff. What I will say is it's going to be packed over the next few weeks because we're in the season. I mean, you can go to SideQuesting's awesome, massive list of the video game events. You can find the link at the bottom of this post or in this YouTube video, or just go to sidequesting.com and see the big logo on the side of the screen there. All the video game events. A lot of stuff going on. Next week we have the PlayStation thing. We'll talk about that too. But let's start with one of the first reveals that popped up yesterday, actually, after all the freaking teasing for God, it felt like forever, right? It was I think we've been hearing about the new Mortal Kombat for what felt like years, and then finally, thanks Jeff Crowd, by the way, was the first person to mention it. And then finally, they teased it, a heck of a lot over the last few days, last couple of weeks, and it is official. The new Mortal Kombat is Mortal Kombat 1. It's actually, what is it, 12? Is it really actually 12? I don't even know anymore, but it is Mortal Kombat 1. I'll play this video. It's on silent right now. But it is a reboot of the series, and in this reboot, Liu Kang is the fire god, and apparently he's sort of bringing everybody together. It's a story. It is Mortal Kombat. Some folks really love the lore. I actually like the fighting. I grew up playing Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat, and those were my two jams. And MK was something that I loved to play against friends. That was a Mortal Kombat and Tekken were the games that I played against friends all the time at arcades or at somebody's house. Street Fighter was usually at the arcade against randos and in tournaments and stuff. But I'm excited. A new Mortal Kombat game is always good, especially if they're looking to reboot it. They mentioned that there's going to be new fighting mechanic, obviously new story, new plot, some new characters, and they're really kind of taking it to the things they've learned over the last bit of Mortal Kombat 2 new levels. So, hey Andrew, how's it going? Yeah, Andrew, my Atari gaming friend, used to go over Andrew's house all the time and play Atari. And I still remember there was this crazy boxing game that we would play on I think he had the 2600 to 5200, I can't remember. And he'd always beat me at this like top down boxing game. If you guys can remember it, who knows? But it was a blast, good times. I loved that era, the Atari era, Commodore 64 era. Yeah. Tilt. Oh man. So Lakeside Mall was the big mall that in our era, we always used to go to it. Friends, parents would drop you off there for the whole day, and you'd play Mortal Kombat and Tilt at Tilt. Yeah. I think Tilt became a chain, maybe. I'm not sure because I've heard a lot of them before. But yeah, I actually played. It's funny because I played Mortal Kombat against Detroit Lions superstar wide receiver Herman Moore, and that dude was real good. Like NFL players, athletes, they were gamers even back in the 90s, dude. Anyways, Mortal Kombat. Look at all this freaking gore. It is nuts. I am. It looks like it's gonna be the goriest Mortal Kombat of all time, but I'm here for it. I like Mortal Kombat. It's just silly, fun action. So yeah, let's do it. September 19th, coming to Xbox and PlayStation, and you get Shang Tsung as one of the pre-order things. And they said they're also going to have like season pass fighters, and then what they're calling cameo fighters, which are characters that are not, you know, part of the story, but you'll still be able to fight as them and stuff. The spoilers are out there as to what these characters are. If these are the actual characters, I'm really excited because they're freaking awesome. 3 of those characters especially are some that I've looked forward to in other medium, and I think it's gonna be pretty cool. Anyways, Mortal Kombat rebooted. There it is officially. No gameplay was shown during this, but I'm assuming we'll see gameplay very soon because the game's coming out September 19th. There's only like 4 months away. 4 months to today, the game is going to be coming out, so you're going to be seeing gameplay. We'll talk about that where in just a second. But yeah, if you're interested in Mortal Kombat, it's back. I mean, we got Street Fighter 6 is coming out next month, and I'm really looking forward to that game because they're taking Street Fighter in a whole new direction, from visual style to this giant hub world to new characters, and I'm really, really stoked for that game. I think the beta is out right now on a bunch of different platforms, but MK is good. Another thing I wanted to really kind of briefly, what was it? Yeah, it was boxing. Maybe it was just called boxing. Yeah. Oh yeah, I gave the game to it was, yeah, because game's probably worth at least $6 now. Yeah, so I'm sure. But I remember that game was just you choose the character, and it would literally like the Rock'em Sock'em robot style boxing is awesome. Yeah, someone's gonna turn this into a GIF of me doing this. It's gonna be ruining my business potential in the future. Briefly touch on some business related things. So we know that Microsoft has been trying to acquire Activision. We know that a couple weeks ago the UK said no, their competition committee said they're not going to go forward with it. Well, guess what? It seems like everybody else has, because the UK said no, but you know who did? The EU, the European Commission, approved that deal, and I think today or yesterday, maybe it was today, China approved the deal. So it's like 37, 38 countries have approved this deal. And again, that relates to the countries that Microsoft does, that these two corporations do business in, need to approve those deals. So if it doesn't get approved, then they're just going to be missing out on, those countries could be missing out on a bunch of things. But yeah, so the European Commission approved it, which I think the US's decision is later this summer, and it's Microsoft is appealing the UK result. But I mean, it's, for all intents and purposes, it's going to go through. There may be a concession here or there. It really is just dragging it out, but it is many billions of dollars, and thousands and thousands of jobs are at stake with this. So, you know, as much as we want it to just kind of be done and over with, it's okay to kind of drag it out in this case, because when you have all those jobs and everything on the line, that needs, all those T's have to be crossed, those I's need to be dotted. So, I'm okay with it, but we'll see what happens there. Monetarily, one of Microsoft's competitors, Microsoft is like number 3 in selling hardware, number 2 in hardware, at least this generation, I guess you call it, is PlayStation, only because it's behind the Switch, because the Switch released a few years before these new consoles. The Switch has now sold, we didn't cover it last week, and if we did, it was brief, is now up to 125 million consoles sold. It is officially the 3rd highest selling video game console of all time, and all, it's a few different variations there. It is it's an important note because it shows that Nintendo still has the capability to sell sell tons of consoles. And obviously Zelda just came out. There's the Zelda edition right there. Thank you to our friends at Game Informer. There's a Zelda edition right there, which I picked up because I traded my old Switch in. Very nice looking console. 125 million units sold. They're noticing it's slowing down. It's down year over year, which, listen, it's the 6th year of a console. It's going to be down. We knew that. Everybody in the public knew that. Nintendo knew that, even though, they tried to make the investors happy. But 125 million consoles is an awesome number. What does Nintendo do? Are they going to have a brand new console come out? They're actually forecasting only 15 million the rest of this fiscal year, which ends next end of March, which would put them at 140 million. And then, you'll see those numbers kind of trickle after that. Will they get to the magical 155 million of the PS2? I don't know. They got a ways to go, unless they release one more console. Oh, look at that! We're joined by Taylor. Hey, Taylor.
I can't hear you. Classic.
Classic. He can't hear me. Everybody else can, at least. So that's good. Now, can you hear me?
Definitely.
All right. He probably just saying things, but he can't actually hear me. It's great. We're just talking about perfect timing because we've been talking about this in the Discord. Talking about the Switch sales numbers. They're at 125 million now. Obviously, sales are down, and Nintendo's forecasting another continual slide to 15 million sales this year. They said that'll be a stretch. But the big question is, when are they going to announce when are they going to come out with a new console? We've been chasing this our console prediction for the last 2 years now. I think in the Discord, our smart business acumen has been off every single time because we have no idea.
No, we're always perfect.
Yes.
Correct.
Oh, hold on. First of all, glad I'm not flying solo. Listen, I can handle does that mean that's how bad I am?
I could sense that you were trying to talk about business, and I was forced to join.
No, so yeah, we've been talking about this. The Switch is the more I think about the Switch, the more I think it's a very precarious situation because they sold so many, right? The Wii sold so many, and they followed it up with a thud that did not capitalize on what consumers had gone into, right? And so you look at the Switch, they said their new console isn't going to come out between this year, this coming fiscal year. They always say that. Who knows what Nintendo, they don't want to tell you that, hey, by the way, we're going to have a new console come out, because then you're going to stop buying consoles, right? They're not going to do that to you. But
it also wouldn't be crazy if it's true.
It also wouldn't be crazy if it's true, depending on what they do game-wise, because we have no idea what they're going to do. Yeah, I know RPG. We're just messing with you. But it's, this current Switch is on the down and out. It's an old console. Every console, when they get to this level, is you're chasing sales, you're scraping pennies, you're trying to get the folks who haven't purchased one yet, which is very rare these days.
I was going to say
who exactly?
Who's left?
They sold. It was the number one selling console in the U.S. in April because of this guy that you're seeing on the screen. This guy right there. Folks said, I got to get that new Switch. PlayStation kind of had the market for the last 3-4 months, and then Nintendo came along, put this guy out there, and sold it. Now, that's a very rare occasion. It's not going to happen again. People, those sales went through. I don't think there's going to be folks running around looking for this because you can buy them everywhere. This isn't going to get those numbers going. So haven't touched Switches. They got.
Listen, I came back for Tears of the Kingdom. So
yes, there you go. You did play Xenoblade 3 a little bit, right?
I guess that was
last year.
That was in the middle. You're right.
But again, that's
it just speaks. It speaks to what the Switch is, which is riding on its very strong exclusive.
And a lot of us have moved a lot of Steam Deck stuff. I've been on the Steam Deck. I'm not going to say I'm a PC gamer, but I play the Steam Deck a heck of a lot. If it's not a Nintendo game, I'm playing it on the Steam Deck more than likely.
Pretty much.
But I say it's a precarious situation because it needs to be enough of a change now, in my opinion, to get people who already own a Switch to go in for the next one, right? If it's just 4K with more power, if it can play the PS4 Pro level games, I don't think that's enough. I think you.
What do you think it needs then?
This is the point where, well, first and foremost, it needs a huge lineup of games to launch with it. You need to have a Mario, you need to have Metroid, you need to do something.
Did we say that about the Switch the first time around?
No, we didn't, because the Wii U was
that bad and it didn't matter.
Was that bad and it didn't matter. Yeah, and for all intents and purposes, they were going to have a Switch Pro type of thing, right? That this was going to be, the OLED was going to be, but
do you think that they had like a middle ground instead of a full upgrade that they had to scrap entirely?
Yeah, I think so. I think I firmly believe there was a middle ground, and I mean, again, OLED screens are a lot easier to come across these days.
That's for sure.
The actual non-chipset portion of a Switch and of devices is a lot easier to come across.
Just about the almost every piece of it, yeah.
Yeah, except for a more powerful Switch, the more powerful internal guts of it. So, yeah, I think it's got to be more than just a more powerful Switch. I really do, because you're not going to pull people in. You have to launch with a strong lineup of games, and the Switch 1 launched with Zelda. They also said, by the way, this year you're getting a new Mario game. You're getting you're getting Splatoon. You're getting Xenoblade Chronicles 2. That was in the first year, and they even had other games like ARMS and a bunch of other stuff that people were actually interested in. They had and Mario Kart, right? They had that huge lineup that first year. I think for this, you almost need to. You need to launch with Mario Kart, the biggest gaming franchise outside of Grand Theft Auto, essentially, right? Mario Kart 9 or whatever it's going to be. You need to launch with a Metro. I don't know. You need to launch with something big.
It can't be Metroid. Metroid's not big enough.
Metroid, you're correct. Metroid is not big enough. Maybe in the West. It's not even big enough in the West. We've kind of seen those sales not be.
It really doesn't feel like it's enough.
Yeah. But yeah, there you go. I'm definitely curious what Nintendo do next. Always a gimmick. The smart move, surely similar, but with more power.
I think that you look at what the Switch's quote unquote gimmick was, with it being the Joy-Cons. It's pretty tame.
Yeah,
I mean, they are just controllers that detach, right? I mean, it's not. Yeah. It's not as crazy as. It's not nearly as crazy as what the Wiimote was. Sure. Definitely not as crazy as what the Wii U did. So,
they never really went all in with these separated controllers. Not
really.
Right? I mean, exactly. Sarah. It is more fun for us all these.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I don't think that Metroid's a bad game for me. I just think I just don't think it's enough to sell a brand new SKU on a system.
Metroid would be great if there was a movie attached to it. If you can get a movie out there and then you selling a game alongside it, then maybe that's an opportunity. But Nintendo's riding really high this year. The Mario movie is the biggest movie in well over a year, right? And it's going to be in the US. It'll be the number 2 animated film of all time after this weekend, likely. The Zelda, which we'll get into in a second here, had a bajillion sales. Probably it's rated as like the greatest game of all time. A lot of places, but you need to have that content, and I think I feel like for Nintendo, if they're gonna continue with this Switch route, you really need to showcase that being a device that's both a handheld and a hybrid and with removable controllers is still worthwhile and still necessary. And I think I think you need to go all in on some of this motion stuff. And what I mean by that is Ring Fit Adventure is fantastic. Where is Ring Fit Adventure 2? That thing is over 3 years old, right? 2020 it launched, and it was 2019 it launched.
Yeah, but like, did you ever hear? I don't remember ever hearing a single headline about how much it sold.
But it sold a ton. It's like,
I mean, I don't. What did it? What are the numbers? I don't know.
I think it's like 10 to 15 million total have sold, something crazy like that. It's one of their top 10 sellers.
Show me the receipts.
I'll dig it up. Lifetime. Yeah, no, Ring Fit was great, especially in Japan. Here we go. Sales units, IR information, loading this baby
14
up.
million as of last May.
There you go. As of last May. Right now it's
May.
15.38 million units of Ring Fit event. That's a lot. That's a lot. That's a lot. And so
it's pretty good.
It's
especially because it was $80.
Yeah, it's $80. I mean, it outsold
right? Because
did
they ever sell the game out? I guess did they sell it independendly, or is it no. It came with the Ring Fit?
You had to get the ring. Yeah, I mean, you got it.
I mean, yeah, I'm an owner.
Hopefully, you got it on sale. Yeah.
No, I did not. I bought it. I bought it really close to release.
Big thumbs on motion control is not a selling point for me. No, it's not. But again, I think it's
one of those things where if you feel like it's not a big selling point for you, it's because the rest of the console is, and it just so happens to be that it is a selling point, just not to your target, just not to the target audience that you're a member of.
Yeah, and I think
because Nintendo casts a wide net. It's the reason why they're so successful.
They really do. I mean, the Wii was successful from that standpoint at the very beginning. The Switch has been successful. The Switch hasn't capitalized, by the way, on that casual market. I don't feel like the actual
not like the Wii did.
Not like the Wii did.
That was lightning in a bottle. Like it's not gonna be repeated.
It's not. I don't think. But one thing that I think, and I don't really know. I mean, does Nintendo go the route of getting a Game Pass style thing that they make that a part of their, not necessarily Game Pass, but make some type of actual game subscription service a part of their thing? Do they include mobile phones? And all? I don't know. I just feel like okay. Let me say it this way. I was completely wrong about the Switch because when the rumors came out and they first said it was going to be a hybrid device with removable controllers, I thought this is the stupidest idea. I'm done with Nintendo. I am PlayStation from here on out forever. Boy, was I wrong, because it turned out to be a phenomenal little device for the year when it was great back at the beginning, for what it did. And it was exactly what I wanted. It was my indie device. I mean, it's where I played indie games. It's where I played. They had those big ports early on. Some were great, some were meh. And they had phenomenal games from Nintendo. And so, and I could take it with me, but now you have the Steam Deck. Now you have other things and so it's not as compelling from that standpoint. You got
it's just not as unique.
The ROG
anymore,
Ally.
Right?
Everyone's got their ROG Ally now.
Yeah, everybody. It's not as unique anymore.
Right.
And, I think that, I don't know if it needs to be. Like, do they need to try and capture a sense of wonder in it? I don't know. That's going to come down to what people that get paid a lot of money at Nintendo decide on whether or not they are trying to capture something else or just continue to capture what they have.
Yeah.
I don't. If I'm Nintendo, I don't know if I'm trying to shake up the formula that is working.
Right. I mean, part of me thinks that if it was just going to be a more powerful Switch, it would have released, because the chips are now out there. Its supply has caught up, that kind of stuff. So if it's just a more powerful Switch, I feel like it would have been. That's
an interesting way of looking at it, and I probably agree with that.
And so I think there is going to be yet another gimmick, and I don't know what that is. I have no idea. I'm not going to speculate anymore, because I don't know what Nintendo is doing.
The other part that makes me sad is that so little use of true HD rumble.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's true.
Still,
such a neat little feature.
Still, Golf Story is one of the best uses of HD rumble that the Switch has seen, and that was basically a launch title. I don't know if it came out at launch, but it was pretty close to it.
I was close to it, yeah, in that first year. But
I'm sure the knowers out there will be like, actually, there's several high-profile HD rumble uses, but the point is
IR camera didn't get a ton of, and that thing was, you could do full on 3D scans with that IR camera, which is what, because there was that Game Builder Garage. There were people that were making full 3D scanners with the software in that.
Were they?
In that thing. Yeah, man, it was wild.
That's crazy.
There's actually those apps there are apps on the eShop which are essentially 3D scanners. It is just the stupidest thing that the right Joy-Con, the most powerful little controller ever created. And it has the NFC, by the way, in the freaking analog joystick. It has an NFC system in there.
Yeah, they packed into that.
They packed into this thing. But it is missing. It's missing a lot of features. It's missing the ability to stream. It's missing the. Could you imagine being able to stream directly from your Switch? How great that would be for getting engagement, right? I mean, every other console does it. Streams directly from your PS4 or Xbox. Do it from your Switch, because that continues the, it breaks down one of those barriers. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it would take. But and of course, this is the right point. They don't need to compete with anybody at all. They just need their IP, and their IP is doing great, including the IP that I'm going to talk about right now, which is me trying to pull that up really quickly. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, I passed it. There it is. The note is that The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom in 3 days has already surpassed 10 million units. Those are bonkers.
Damn, numbers. It can't even sell as much as Ring Fit Adventure. That's pretty sad.
Or 2/3 of a Ring Fit is basically what we're saying.
Damn, sad.
But it's a no. It's phenomenal number. I mean, the game was very hyped. Obviously, and it really wasn't. You didn't even really see advertising until that last month and a half, because all they did was just kind of squeak out. It's like, game's still coming, and that's all you would hear. It's like, no, we're still working on it. And then that last month and a half after that, the direct in February or January, whenever it was, since then, it's been they've been really ramping it up, and now you can't get away from it, and rightfully so, because that freaking game is amazing. We'll talk about it in a second here, our thoughts on it. But 10 million, it's probably, it's been a week now, so it's probably up to 12, 13 million people are still buying it. Did you buy it digitally, or did you get it?
No, I bought I one of the few physicals.
Yeah, you were mentioning you were thinking of getting the coupon thing to.
I thought, and I'm still thinking about it. Most recently, because my daughter grabbed the controller. Not to play video games, because she's only 2, but just to steal it from me, and then almost purchased the $100 voucher pack. That was always fun. But no, I bought the Walmart one, and it came with the wall scroll.
Nice.
And so I have no idea what I'm going to do with that.
Wall scroll
no,
yet?
It is still sealed. Ask me why.
Yeah, I ask you why. You're gonna sell it eventually. It's gonna be part of your kid's college fund. No, I got my order from Best Buy, and I bought it right while it was still $59.99 before it jacked up to $69.99. So I got my $59.99, and I got the print, and which just like it's basically just that the box art that they had printed on a nicer print, but they handed it to me, and the baggie with the print was like, the bottom was a little bit ripped, so stuff was starting to slide out. I'm like, no, put that one back. Give me one that's not ripped. And it's what's wild, by the way, was I obviously haven't experienced the last midnight launch for anything I'd ever experienced was the Switch. I did that midnight launch, and I haven't done any other midnight launches in my entire life. And it reminded me of that midnight launch of the Switch, because this Best Buy that I went to was packed with nerds like me, it was men and women. It was high school kids who were skipping out, and their dads and their little brothers and sisters. And it was business folks, because behind me, like 2 or 3 people behind me, I was holding my phone and kind of scrolling through this stuff, because I think I had one of the amiibo picked out too. I turn around, and I see a bunch of folks with badges from some of the automotive OEMs, basically competing OEMs. Like, oh, these are like, and they're dressed in like suits and ties, and they're holding copies of Zelda to pay for. I'm like, wow, this really was, when like Mr. General Motors is there. His name is Bob General Motors, by the way, and Bob GM is there buying Legend of Zelda. It's a big thing. But I was surprised to see the variety of people that were picking it up. Was not expecting it to be that type of cross section. I thought it would be just a bunch of, middle-aged white dudes rekindling their past. But no, it was
You're living in the past, old man.
Living in the past, yeah. But 10 million copies, probably at least 12 by now, if not more. And it's going to continue selling. And Breath of the Wild is still selling, which is just, still shows up on charts. It's a top 20 game every month on the whatever the MPDs are called now in Japan, and now Tears of the Kingdom is going to take that over. So I think they got a hit on their hands, and maybe they'll sell more when the next Switch is announced and this becomes or they have a version for that, or it gets improved some way. But yeah,
dude, if they honestly re-releasing 60 FPS Breath of the Wild would be a pretty big one.
That would get
kind of,
dude. That would get you'd probably get a bunch of sales for that. They wouldn't just drop an update either. They're gonna say no, because this is a fully redid version. You're gonna have to pay the $70 again, or if you already have it, if you have it digitally, then you're gonna pay another $30 or something stupid like that. Yeah, Metro Detroit. That's why you're automotive nerds. Yep. But speaking of Zelda, we're gonna talk about Zelda and our thoughts in a second, because I wanted to talk about. I missed one thing. There's a PlayStation showcase next week. That's all we know. We'll have.
Oh yeah.
We'll have. I'm actually in.
How many PSVR 2 games are they gonna announce?
They said they're gonna announce PSVR 2 games as a part of it. I'm gonna guess.
I'm sure they're gonna try.
And guess 3. Man, you don't hear anything. They released that on retail on the 12th, the same day as Zelda. Which JJ and I were talking about it. It's actually kind of a smart thing to do, because people are gonna go in there looking for Zelda, and they're gonna find out, there's also a brand new PlayStation VR thing. Which, okay, cool. Maybe I'll pick one of those up, or at least it gives you some eyeballs, which folks normally wouldn't have done. But yeah, we're gonna see Spider-Man. Maybe we'll see that Wolverine game. Who knows?
Oh yeah, that's been pretty quiet.
I think I mentioned before you hopped on. I spoke about Mortal Kombat 1 being kind of announced. I think we may see that at this PlayStation. Maybe we'll see the actual.
Wouldn't surprise me.
I know Street Fighter's coming out, but Street Fighter has been shown a ton, and there really isn't anything more to show at Street Fighter. But I think you could see Mortal Kombat at this event, unless you see it at the Xbox event. Maybe, I don't know, but there's a good possibility you'll see something Mortal Kombat, and then I don't know, more Final Fantasy, maybe Rebirth. I don't know. Maybe Square saving that for their own thing. I have no idea. I actually don't know what to expect from this.
I think Sony's going to lay into 16 a lot in promo material, so I would expect that we're going to
video.
Yeah, I mean we're 1 month out, right?
Yeah,
or 3 weeks, however many.
Crazy, yeah. 22nd. So we're 1 month.
Okay, so 1 month out. It would not surprise me. They're not going to devote a ton of time to it, because 16 had their own pretty lengthy PR bit for it, but Sony is going to want to make a point about how it is the only place where you're going to be able to play 16.
Yeah,
until the exclusivity breaks, because the perpetual exclusivity is gone now. But yeah, I would be surprised if it's not there.
They may even show like Death Stranding 2. Maybe they
could show Death Stranding 2.
There.
Probably Street Fighter 6.
I don't know. Again,
it depends. I don't know if. Yeah, I know it's really close, but I think that Sony wants to lean into the exclusive perks that they have with the games that are imminent. I don't think they're going to spend a lot of time on that stuff.
Maybe just I think a light sizzle. Okay, got it.
Yeah, it's like don't forget about the stuff that we have that other people don't, kind of thing.
Hey guys, June is PlayStation month. Just giving you guys a heads up.
Kind of.
Street Fighter 6, Final Fantasy 6. They may lean into that. You're right.
Yeah, I mean, other than that, like, I don't know what Sony
dude. Maybe this is where we see Persona 6. Like, they may just finally say, that
would be a drop.
That would be a mic drop right there. That would be a mic drop moment. I mean, it's
Maybe
fun to speculate.
the real drop is that they are getting exclusivity for Shin Megami Tensei 5. Boom, it's happening.
There you go.
They're well, non-Nintendo exclusive.
Non-Nintendo. But no, it's an hour. They said they're going to have over an hour of stuff.
That's too long.
That's too
For
long.
what?
Unless you have a lot of stuff, that's too long. Now, I'm guessing maybe they'll even discuss God of War DLC potentially.
Are they going to announce the PlayStation 5 Pro? I don't feel like it's the right time.
You know what? Yeah, I mean, it's the
I feel
console
like
right now. You don't need to do anything,
right? Like, do you? Is it a thing? Are you trying to capitalize on the upcycle of the business, and you're just like,
you know what they might do is they may say, we're celebrating with an all new, not a PS5 Pro, but they may say we're celebrating with an all new model of the PlayStation because we've seen people have been slowly, moving over to digital. So we're gonna focus on this digital version. Here's the digital version with the detachable drive or whatever that thing that people are talking about. So they may talk about that being the direction going forward. I mean, if anything, that's it. I don't think it's too early for a PS5 Pro. That'll be, I mean, that's looking at how popular the PlayStation 5 is right now. I mean, that's 2 years away. You can coast on this for the next couple of years, really, when you think about it.
Remake 2, I could see them dropping some info for this.
I think so.
For the second part.
Rebirth? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, whichever. I don't remember. But yeah, Square Enix has a ton of momentum on 16 already. I don't see them showing a first trailer of part 2 as a spoiler. I don't know. That's my opinion.
Sure.
Like, does that really put a spoiler onto 16? I feel like 16 has its own groundswell as it is. So. It doesn't matter if they show.
It may actually feed 16.
Exactly. It's like, I mean, right now the like Final Fantasy is going to have its moment. Why not capitalize on all good press for it?
Right.
They've
Square Enix things from them for all we know.
I'm not Square Enix PR, so they very easily could feel that way about it. We're like, listen, it's 16's time. We'll start talking about it during June Fest or whatever summer stuff.
June Fest. I like that.
Summer June Fest, and we'll start talking about it big time after 16 comes out. I think that's a pretty reasonable take too. It's tough to see the difference between the two. And
speaking of take two, is this where we see Grand Theft Auto 6?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No.
I mean, there's a lot. It's funny. Like, we're going to see a lot of these things over the next few months. I don't know where they're going to land.
This could be this summer could be the first time that we see it in a teaser. When did that leak happen? Was that last year?
That was last year, maybe around a little bit after this time frame.
It looked pretty early. So I don't see them putting out anything other than a teaser.
Okay.
We're not gonna get a
game's
trailer.
Not coming out till next year, I don't think, anyways, right? I mean,
at the earliest.
Massive. The leak today was that the map is double the size of GTA 5's. All right.
Does it need to be?
I know. Do things need to get bigger?
Does it really need to be double the size of GTA 5?
I don't know. I don't know. Here's the unfortunate thing. I'm flying out. My plane leaves at 6:40 on Wednesday. I'm flying to Florida. I have security at my house. Don't you dare try. I have cameras. Taylor, you can come use my pool though.
Oh, thanks, man. Appreciate that.
Just water my pepper plants, by the way. And so we're gonna be in the car driving to the airport when this PlayStation thing's happening. So I'm gonna tell my wifey, hey, hun, can you drive? I'm gonna watch this PlayStation event. And I may even have done that dual screen. I may have the iPad on one side, and I may be messaging you guys in Discord on the other.
I've literally done that too. I actually used my Steam Deck for it one time when I was driving. I tethered so that I was like, I think I was watching it on the Steam Deck and then chatting on the phone. Because I was like, I'm gonna have to. I gotta react.
Yeah, instant reactions. But no, that's next week on Wednesday. Jeff Grubb was right again. Jeff Grubb's always right. Hey, I'm gonna talk about a game that I've been reviewing real quick, and then we'll get into some other stuff. Do you want to talk about any game that's not Zelda at the moment?
God, did I play anything that's not Zelda? I don't think so.
Haven't had you on for a couple weeks. JJ was on it last week to talk about
yeah, I was
Nintendo
out.
World, and I know you were playing. You were catching up with Skyward Sword. How far did you end up getting in Skyward
Oh yeah,
Sword?
that's right. That's right. That's what I'll talk about. Yeah, so
Okay.
that's right, because the reason why I didn't have anything to play is because I was mainlining Skyward Sword to try and finish it, and I finished it.
Oh, wow.
I think about 45 minutes before my copy of Tears of the Kingdom was delivered.
Amazing. So that Friday, huh?
That Friday, I literally beat it that Friday, and then I started Tears of the Kingdom Friday night because I didn't want to try and get into it before works ended because that's asking for it. No, it's not that I don't. Whatever, but
okay.
but like it was really that it would have been a danger zone of losing that rest of that time. But yeah, so I beat Skyward Sword, and man, it's not a game that is greater than the sum of its parts.
Yeah.
That is for sure.
Especially now, I think it hasn't aged well. I don't think.
I don't think that the HD version did it. I mean, I think it's probably improved because it increased the options.
Did you play it on the Wii or back then at all, or no?
No, because I never had a Wii.
It is better. It is better. I will say visually, some of the interact stuff is better, but it's not better enough. I don't know if that's the right way to say it.
Yeah, I mean, the extra control options are still kind of bad. It's just that the controls aren't good enough.
Yeah.
The fact that they added an additional way to do it with the control stick.
Yeah.
The
jiggle for the sword,
and it didn't make it good enough is indicative of what they did from a gameplay design and the fact that it was flawed. The fact that with the better IR tracking on the Joy-Cons, that it's not good enough is also indicative. Like it was a
design thing, a completely
right. It doesn't matter. I mean, like maybe if it was like in VR. But again, like you would redesign the whole game to slow it down because then it's in VR, et cetera, et cetera. So, I think that a few of the dungeons are really, really good. But
I have not completed the game, and I will probably go back after Tears of the Kingdom.
It has really high points, which are all the times where the story actually interacts with you.
Okay.
But those points there's like 4 of them. It's like 4 times it happens in the whole game. The rest of the time it's just you're on the dotted line. You're moving forward. It's as much as it's open world, it's extremely procedural of go from point A to point B, and you're never unsure of where you're supposed to go. And we haven't had that many 3D Zelda games, but having options of where to go and where to explore and having that part of that mystery has been kind of a hallmark of pretty much all the Zelda games.
Yes.
And Skyward Sword had the least of it. It was like
it was the smallest open world, it felt, right?
Yeah, I mean it's like there was big and there was area, and I can't think of an analogy to another game that had this same flawed paradigm, but it's a trap that other games have fallen into, which is to make the world bigger but to not do anything with it. And yeah, I think that's just where it fell short. I mean, it's still fun to be there, and it was fun to do, but like compared to the other games of the series' pedigree, it definitely falls short.
Yep. No, I hear you.
But I beat it, and like I said, the story, it's like one of the most impactful games in terms of the story arc, and that's the reason why I wanted to do it, because it looks like this game. I mean, I guess we can shift into it.
Well, let me get into my
please do
my review game, then we'll shift into Tears. Yeah, you're right. It's one of the more impactful. I mean, it's important understanding it for Tears of the Kingdom, but yeah. So real quick, a few weeks back, I got a review code for Gun Jam. I'm going to share that right now. The video. Gun Jam is a announced over a year ago, I guess. I don't even know anymore. But essentially, it is a first-person shooter that you shoot to the beat, right? And
okay.
Neat idea.
Bunch of rhythm shooters coming out the last best year.
This is
especially,
man. Just an idea. It's a great soundtrack, and that's probably the great soundtrack. And I like the visuals, which have been kind of aped. I don't want to say aped since then, but we've seen similar kind of poppy, bright visual, brightly colored FPS games since this first was announced. But I have issues with this game. One, it's just not fun, man. It's just, and the reason I think it's just not fun is there are three things you have to do. One, you have to keep on to the beat, right? So you have to listen to the music and pay attention to that. Two, you have to tap the music, you kind of see it there, to the little icons. So you have to hold or tap or whatever. And then three, you have to avoid and move around and try to beat these guys. Well, if I'm just playing this as an FPS game, I have a certain type of tactic that I use. I'll strafe, I'll move around, he jumped there, but I'll jump and I'll shoot and I'll play it very differently. Sometimes I want to just constantly shoot at someone to wear them down. Sometimes I will be very tactical. You can't do that with this game. You have to you don't even have to. It's difficult to do two things at once in this, like it is for me to try to talk and explain it at the moment. Trying to hit those little things, hit the tracks. I'm going to stop right there. You go. Perfect. Yeah, cool. Half the time I was hitting those things and not aiming anywhere. Like there was no enemy in front of me. I'm just hitting this thing perfect. And then I'd make it through a third of the song and I would die because somebody was behind me. And that's not fun, man. That's not fun. It feels like here, let me make this a little more full size because that looks better on the screen. There we go. It feels like it's still a concept, an idea, but it's not fully realized. The visuals, like I would have actually loved to see these little icons bigger and a different shape, and maybe make them look like the little, the scope or whatever. Give some variety to how we attack these enemies, because it feels like it's neither a great FPS and it's neither a great rhythm game.
It feels like we're still waiting for the perfect game of this to come up, because what was the one that came out? Was it Metal Hellsing?
Yes,
Metal Hellsinger, which was very similar to this idea.
But that got really good, like pretty good.
Yeah, it did pretty. It did pretty good. So it sounds like it did this a little bit better than what this. I mean, they're also slightly different kind of targets, I think. But yeah, I don't. Even Metal Hellsinger didn't. I mean, it wasn't perfect in some regards. Yeah. So I don't know. It feels like there is definitely something to this genre of, or if we want to call it its own genre, of this kind of FPS rhythm game. And I don't know. I think something is going to hit it at
eventually.
Not that either one of them are inherently bad, but it feels like a game is going to come along and hit a home run because they're repeatedly proving themselves to be worthwhile to do. Yeah.
So there are few levels in this. The content is very light. It's got a great soundtrack, and apparently, I didn't try it, but apparently you can put in your own music, like they showed in that.
Interesting.
Kind of do I want to? It's a cool idea, but I don't know if I want to. If I'm just playing the same couple levels, over and over again, and that's it. That's all the content. It's just here's a song list, and there's no plot. There's no narrative. There's nothing. It's just
arena shooter.
It's just an arena shooter that you shoot to the beat. And the red, obviously on the outside, I've been hit. Well, dude, I got murdered every time. We had a conversation in Discord today of, what was the worst boss? during a review, and this is the boss. It's like it's the game mechanic sometimes is just not fully realized, and that can be enough to hold you back. Again, it's a cool idea. It's just totally not real. It really does sort of feel like not even a beta. It feels almost like a tech demo in a way, and I think it needs a lot of work done to it, and it's got to get content because I was bored. Like I played like every song, and I'm like, all right, that was like 18 minutes. What else is there to do? I guess I'll play these songs again and die again, and all right, there's another 18 minutes. So like an hour into playing this game, during my review, I'm like, I don't want to play this anymore. I know I've got to squeak out some more things, but I just don't want to play anymore. We've talked in the past, about what a good review is. Like, how do you approach a review? And you mentioned it before. One of the main questions is this game worth my time? And then is it worth your time? This game was not worth my time, and I put an hour into it, and I felt bad because that hour was ultra repetitive, and it was again, it just felt like a really long tech demo. This feels like something you would find on a show floor and be like, oh, that's really cool, but that's it. That's all they released, and I feel like you're kind of cheating the end player if this is all you have. There's no multiplayer. There's nothing that really can draw you in. And I think they really need to kind of circle back and figure out what they want this to be. So Gun Jam, but you know what's not Gun Jam, and it's Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. And I want to talk Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, man, because how many hours have you put in, dude? Do you think? Because I saw you every time I hop on, like a minute after me being on, I'll say, Taylor is on playing Zelda. Taylor's on playing Zelda.
Yeah, I mean, I've put in probably an hour or two most nights.
Yeah, same here. I think I'm right around there.
And so what, it came out last. I mean, yeah, I'm probably like
about 15
now, 15 ish,
yeah,
maybe
right around there. Yeah.
Maybe a little bit less because there's definitely idle time that comes from
having
interruptions.
Having a family.
yeah. But yeah, I would guess 12 to 15.
So we talked about does Grand Theft Auto really need to have a map double the size of Grand Theft Auto 5? This map is 3 times the size, essentially, of Breath of the Wild, which was already massive. It feels like, because there's, spoilers. Sorry, spoilers. Just if you don't want to get it, we're not going to really do any spoilers.
Yeah, I'm going to keep it
enough along.
Going to keep it light. Going to avoid story specifics, but there will be gameplay.
Yeah, we'll talk gameplay.
Gameplay spoilers. So, like, if you're interested in finding out how every ability or item gets unlocked and stuff like that, and want to see it for yourself, and you're worried that we have something to show you, then you'll probably want to skip this part.
Yeah. With that being said, the opening moments, that kind of opening scene where Link and
are very
Zelda
good.
That was, well, first of all, Nintendo had the balls to say Nintendo presents The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, and with a black screen and tiny text. And I'm just like, wow, they just laid it out. That's like that's like such a chest puff out way to present a game, it's weird to say it because it's Nintendo, and Nintendo never does that kind of thing. They'll say, hey, check it out, Legend of Zelda. Here's Link on a horse running by. But no, this is it, right?
Presents, yeah.
Yeah. Presents. This is a Hideo Kojima jam. But man, that opening section where you're walking with Zelda, and the things that happened there are just so impactful. Hey, Playland, how's it going? Perfect timing. By the way, RPG Genius, again, thank you for joining us. 2 a.m. over in Europe right now for the guy. Those opening moments, man. There were goosebump and chill inducing sections that were once you're finally fully in control and the game is kicked off, I thought, holy shit, I kind of had to, I don't want to say catch my breath, but I kind of thought, wow, that was there's a little bit of wind out of me because I was, there was some cool shit happening in that opening area. Like they set up everything, and they do tie it back to so many aspects of the whole Zelda series. But God, I freaking love that, and their reasoning for the fact that they were able to weave in Link losing all of his abilities and hearts again in a very specific way. I thought, God, they did it, and they actually did it smartly. Like it's palatable, and it works in the story because I'm not going to ruin the plot, but there is something that there's a difference, that there's a reason why Link wouldn't have the same stuff. But yeah, it's the opening scene to this. I'm gonna say it felt like the 3D realization of the opening scene to Link to the Past, which to me was one of my favorite opening scenes in gaming. On the Super NES, where Link it's raining outside, and he leaves his little hut, and he goes to the sewers, and he sees his uncle there, and he gets the sword. He rescues Zelda, and they make their way out. That was this to me in 2023, and God, it just felt so good. Man, goosebumps, dude. But I don't know how you felt out of that opening scene. I thought it was really well done, like pretty freaking awesome.
Yeah, I mean, so the opening had two parts.
Yeah,
and that part, kind of laid out the playing field.
Good luck, Playland. Yeah.
The next part was what got me much more so.
Yeah, okay. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
So the moment where they kind of give you the second half of the credits, after you take the jump,
take the jump, man. Oh, dude,
that was way more. And honestly,
obviously, since you just finished Skyward Sword and you're flying in that one too, so it ties.
Except this is infinitely more impactful in my opinion. Along with that,
take the jump. By the way, great way to take the jump, which is like, fuck, dude, that's a great. It's just perfectly nailed.
The cinematic approach and delivery of the towers.
Yes. Dude. Yes.
Is incredibly impactful.
Launching, and then he takes it. Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's very very well done.
So well done, man.
And interestingly, one of the few things, there's a lot of skippable cutscenes that are repeated. That's not one of them.
No,
you cannot skip that one.
Yeah,
which I find very interesting.
Yeah, but I want to watch it because I don't want to forget.
Yeah, so the only thing I skip him putting the pad on.
Yeah,
but I wouldn't skip that even if I had the choice.
Yep.
What's interesting is that when you go up, this occurs to me as a very particular design choice. You have camera control for a period of time before the second half of the cutscene where he does the scan.
Yes.
You have independent camera control while he's ascending.
It's light, yeah, but it's there. Yes, correct.
And that is again a very, very very subtle but very impactful choice that I don't know. I mean, it stands out very, very strongly to me.
Totally agree with you.
That they let you move the camera during that portion of the.
I will say that Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom is phenomenal in its use of camera. The only issue that I've had with the camera at all in this game, and I kind of had it with Breath of the Wild a little bit, was when you got Ultra Hand and you're trying to do something with the Ultra Hand, but you can't look all the way up. Or you walk behind something and all of a sudden you're kind of stuck and you have to drop whatever it is that you're holding so that you can walk back around.
The other issue that I have with it is that, especially if you're trying to activate one of the abilities, the turn rate is so abysmally slow.
Yeah. The recall, the turn rate is really bad for recall when you're trying to.
That one seems intentional.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, it seems like they're saying, listen, pick the thing in your field of view. I can come to terms with that. Like, it's not just that it's slow, it's limited because you're also frozen in time. So like nothing, it doesn't matter that it's slow. The Ultra Hand, on the other hand, is like not frozen in time.
No.
So I'm just sitting there like, please release me from this hell. But the other part of it is, to go along with that, is that the majority of my frame rate issues come from, and this is the reason why I think that the turn rate is so slow, is because it's when the vast majority of my frame rate dips happen.
Yeah, no, there are
when I've activated a power and when I'm turning as quickly as possible is when I see the biggest ones. So
what's kind of weird is this game is actually using the Splatoon 3 engine and not the Breath of the Wild engine, which I don't know if the Splatoon 3 engine is based on Breath of the Wild or not, but apparently
I will give my uninformed opinion, which is yes. I would assume that it is the Breath of the Wild engine, which they use for Splatoon 2, which then, but not the same. Like they based the Splatoon 2 engine off of the Breath of the Wild engine, improved on it, made it more accessible, more capable, etc. But left behind the limiting factors that came with making sure that it worked with the Wii U. Because that was obviously holding it back in some regards. But look at what we got on this one versus what we got in Breath of the Wild.
It is. There are some.
So obviously there's a bunch of improvements, but there's a lot of similarities. I mean, with very minimal performance.
Are you playing docked or on a screen? Or
I've played both.
Handheld?
I've played both. I play docked whenever I can. If for no other reason other than the fact that like seeing more at once it's a very big game. There's a lot to see at any given time, and I want to see it at as much as possible at any given time. So I'm
gonna talk a little bit about, first of all, good job Nintendo of making everybody sexy in this game, because everyone's Ganondorf, which I haven't seen. Haven't seen living Ganondorf yet. I probably won't. I haven't seen him, but I've seen obviously the sketches and all that kind of stuff in the trailers and everything. But I've seen Purah. Everybody is in love with sexy Purah in that central town, that you first get to. The characters in this seem to have a lot more personality to them. I don't know what it is, but they feel like I definitely feel like, Nintendo worked these folks. And I think what helps is that in Breath of the Wild, they were just they were still living in their own time, and everything is fine. And just, by the way, there's some monsters coming and something's happening at Hyrule Castle, whatever. In this game, the entire world is picking up after like a destruction, a calamity that's happened. And so there's this sense of urgency in that first group of people that you bump into. Everybody is like, hey guys, guess what? We've got to work together. We're not I'm not just a farmer anymore, but I'm part of this. And there was this sense of community and urgency, which was really sort of interesting. And it made me connect with those characters very quickly. And I thought that was actually really cool.
They did a much better world builds on this one. I mean, the premise of Breath of the Wild and this one are very different. So rebuild, there are things that you did in Breath of the Wild that specifically rebuilt the world. And so it would be weird if it went back to the style of the Breath of the Wild there. But, and especially coming from Skyward Sword, which was like empty as sin. It was like so lifeless.
Nice art style. Wouldn't want to live there.
Yeah, exactly. Nice art. So there's like 20 people that exist apparently in the whole world. Tears has been very wonderful in that regard, which is just making it feel more alive, more populated. Like I said, Breath of the Wild did an okay job of it. It's just that people felt like everybody was too far apart.
Yep.
And they kind of brought them more in line, more closer together on this one.
I think what's interesting with this, another thing that's interesting, there's so many things interesting with this, is how much of other game styles that they fit into this. Because Breath of the Wild was big open world Zelda, Hyrule Field. We got it. Cool.
Okay.
This game, they have, there's the whole nuts and bolts aspect of it, which everyone kind of joked around, but there is the whole building thing where my things to me, there's a couple things here. Nintendo did a great job of making me feel like the smartest kid in the playground, the smartest Link on the playground, because I relate it to two things that happen. One, the sign guy. Have you bumped into the sign dude holding up the president?
I bumped into him quite a many times.
Yes. And the fact that I found completely different ways that shouldn't work, but they managed. So, spoiler, but not spoiler. There's a guy that's you'll come across this poor dude who wants to honor the president of the construction company that is building houses and stuff in Hyrule, and he's holding up this sign, but he always forgets to put the other leg down, and so the poor kid's holding up the sign with the big picture of the president of this of Hudson on there, President Hudson, and he's like, I don't know what to do. I got to get this sign up, and I can't get out of here. So it's your job to use all the different tools and find things and
so it's important to know he's always standing next to a pile of materials.
Yes.
Because the construction company has left materials around everywhere, to let people to help people rebuild Hyrule, right?
Very nice construction company.
Yeah. So there's always like four posts, a bunch of boards, a couple of wheels so that you can make your wagons when you want to and stuff like that. So
I've every way that I've helped solve this guy with this sign has been completely unique and different. The first time I didn't even see those materials. I chopped down a couple trees and I used logs and built a teepee around that sign. And then what's abso-freaking-lutely hilarious is that, so you tell him, okay, go ahead and let go, and he'll let it go. And however the sign falls, whatever angle or whatever it is, he'll say, oh, it works. And then the screen cuts to black and it comes back on and he's built up like the structure to hold it, but it's still leaning at that angle. So there's like, I have 3 signs in Hyrule right now, which are at like 35 or 40 degree angles leaning over, but the dude.
Oh, really? I get it. Yeah. I get it good enough that I never noticed that.
Mr. No, mine are also shitty. I've used rocks. I've used boulders. I've used logs. And
what are you talking about? I just grabbed 2 boards and I put it directly under it and it works every time. What are you doing?
But it's just so freaking fun. And he's so happy. He's like, oh my God, I may have some steamed rice balls and 20 rupees.
Dude, yeah, I mean, I'm going to do it just because he keeps giving me stuff.
Yeah, dude. So I think that's just so cool. The other thing I love is not only do the characters have these awesome little personalities, but there's just interesting, it's not AI, but it's an interesting little personality that they've given to the enemies. And what I mean by that is, by the way, they've introduced some Muso warrior type of thing in this game, which is really kind of a cool thing where you're actually doing raids and stuff. So that's actually kind of fun. And
yeah.
And it totally reminds me of the Hyrule Warriors games, because even the little bar at the top that says, this is how and many enemies are there. I'm like, that's the warrior game. Cool. Anyways, the very first one you get to, I was kind of waiting for the Haas, Captain Haas, to show up with his force. And again, not a spoiler, so just these are all over the place. You find this out right away. So you have to wait for your kind of troop to show up. This wandering group of soldiers. And I'm like hidden behind like this wall, and there's this board on the ground. And I was intending to just kind of rush in and take out all the bokoblins and the moblins and stuff. So I pick up this board that's lying on the ground, and I'm getting ready to walk over to it. And I'm like, oh, let me kind of walk around the corner first. And as I'm walking around the corner, the bokoblins are terrified of this board flying in space, and they're all like, the little question mark first pops up and then the exclamation point, and they're scattering away from this thing, and I'm like herding them around in this like circular enclave. I'm like, oh my God, I'm scaring the enemies because they don't know what to think about this floating metal board. And I thought that is a cool little detail that I'm going to start utilizing in my battles. I now know I'm gonna have stones and rocks and other things float to completely confuse these enemies. And I thought that was cool. And then the actual moblin is like standing on this pedestal, and he's like ordering all the bokoblins around. I got him to come down as the other guys are sort of attacking the smaller folks, the smaller enemies. I'm attacking him, and I knock the weapon out of his hand, his club or whatever. And so he falls down and he gets up and he's looking for the weapon, but I had picked up the weapon because I had busted my sword or traveler's or whatever it was. So he goes on, he grabs one of the bokoblins and throws him at me. And I'm like, shit, I had never seen that before in a Zelda game. Like the enemies grab each other and throw them at you, which
that is not happening to me.
Dude, it is so cool. I'm like, he used his own little squad as a weapon. I'm like, all right, fuck, this game is so cool for those types of things. This whole game, what I'm getting to is this whole game is full of these little incidents and situations and ways that it approaches things that it just makes it. I love this more than Breath of the Wild, which to me I loved Breath of the Wild, and this I am fully enjoying this way more than that. And I didn't think that was going to happen because I thought it was going to be like a little bit more, Breath of the Wild plus. But this feels like there's so much life in this decaying Hyrule that I was not expecting, and I'm madly in love with everything that's coming out of this so far. Yeah, there's issues, graphical issues. I'm not going to pull a John Carmack here though and say that it's horrible, but there's so many cool things that are happening in this that it's just, and it makes me feel like I'm the smartest person when like what just happened right now, me explaining this to you, we're on the swings and we're talking about Zelda at recess, and I'm like, did you do this, Taylor? No, but I did this. Oh, I didn't make it. Oh, and then you could take this guy, and that feeling is so freaking cool. I love it. It's like Elden Ring had that. I know Playland mentioned, is this the Elden Ring type of stuff? Not story wise, but it's Elden Ring in terms of how how things happen and how you approach things.
Well, I think his question is just in regards to like how tough is it. I think it's much more. I don't want to say it's necessarily harder. It's more punishing than Breath of the Wild was. The enemies do a lot of damage fast, like earlier on,
because they have more ways to do damage this time. I feel
that's part of it. That's part of it, but also like, dude, I don't know about you, but I saw a blue bokoblin like really, really early in the game.
And you ran the fuck away from that.
And he one shot me.
Yeah.
I like you don't find that much armor early.
No,
you don't have that much money early to buy it.
Yep.
And so I just got fucking walloped. Yeah. He literally swung his club, and if you do not parry it, I got one shot. I mean, I think I had 4 hearts.
Yeah.
So like, you only start with 3, as with traditional for every Zelda game. But I'm 2 hours into the game and there's a blue bokoblin. It's not like I ran really far really fast and found one on purpose. I was near the starting zone and there's a blue bokoblin just hanging out chilling. I'm like, okay, I'll see what's up, and then boom, hits me with ones with a club and I'm dead. So it's just more dangerous, I guess I'll put it that way. And
so it is a direct sequel, but we're not going to tell you why Link is back down to 3 hearts. You have to watch it. Like
listen, you played a video game before, Playland. I know that you know exactly the way that the playbook happens, which is I'll put it guess what? Samus starts every game with all of her weapons too. It's
somehow really
somehow. Who knows? How did it happen?
But no,
what do you mean I don't have the Master Sword?
I ran into, my goal has been to, I don't know what your play track is. I don't know if you're following if you're mainlining the story or if you're doing side quests. My goal is to open up as many of the towers and go through get as many hearts as possible. That's like what I'm right now. I realize I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna go around Hyrule. I'm gonna get these towers figured out so I can get the map and try to open up as many of these areas on the map, all the different layers, blah blah blah, as I can, and then try to get as many hearts. My goal is to try to get like 7 or 8 hearts before I really. And I'm at 5.
I'm already at 6. I mean, I think it only takes.
I'm at 6 hearts right now and 1 extra ring of.
Yeah, I think I'm at 6 hearts. I'm at 6 hearts, 1 ring.
Yeah.
But I
might get to like 7 or 8 hearts, I think, is my goal, and then I
think I have 3 more turn-ins waiting.
Okay.
Because then
you and I are probably really similar then in our location. Yeah.
My big thing is so I've done a mix of like I'll have a burst where I'm like, all right, I want to see what's up.
Yeah.
And then I get done with that and I'm like, I can't do anything because I don't have this map opened. Yeah. I got to do the map. And then so I'll go do the map.
You go find a tower. Yeah.
And then it takes me 4 hours to get to a tower because you're like literally you do the zoom up and you see it in the distance. You're like, oh, it's right there.
It's right there.
And then you try and glide to it, and you're like,
it's not there.
And then you run out of stamina. And you're like, oh fuck, I can't reach it. But I will say, 2 things. One is that if you run out of stamina, you will fall, and it will always give you 1 glide.
Yes.
Extra. Yeah. So
That's smart.
I don't remember if that's how Breath of the Wild did it. Do you know? Do you remember? But I feel like it would make sense for it to happen in this game and not Breath of the Wild because there's just so many more chances that you're going to do it in tiers compared to Breath of the Wild.
So much verticality in this game.
Yeah.
So much.
But beyond that, there's a lot of stamina gaining food that you can make. And you can eat it while you're gliding.
You're falling. When you're gliding.
Or while you're gliding. So I'm realizing now, and I didn't realize this until like after I got the really hard to get towers, of course. But to finish off the last ones, you better believe I'm just stacking up food or stacking up stamina elixirs. Yep. I'm going to get up high. I'm gliding all the way there. You better believe it.
It's a smart way to do it. I think
I'm just gonna be munching all the way.
Find a skyland that's near it and leap off, and then make my way down. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I do have part of. There are. They showed it in the trailers, and so I'm gonna use that as my spoiler-free. Get out of spoiler-free card.
Jail.
Which is the fact that there is a kind of wingsuit. I have 1 piece of it.
Okay.
Which
I don't have anything of that yet. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
You get it really early. You can get it really early.
Yeah, okay, you can. I mean, I haven't got the Korok mask, and apparently you can get that really early if you really try.
I don't have a Korok mask either. I don't know. What does that do? Does that let you find Koroks?
Where all the Korok seeds are. Yeah, baby.
Really?
Yeah, dude.
Damn.
So there's so much shit. We're back in front of the jungle gym, dude. We're talking about stuff.
Are the mounts any better in tiers? No.
No, but there is a skeleton horse mount, which is kind of cool.
Do they feel like? Are you talking about like how like they feel to control and ride? Then no, they feel identical.
My first mount.
I do not have a horse. I'll put it that. Yeah. I don't have one.
My first mount was a skeleton horse. In fact, that's like one of the first things that they'll ask you is like, "Hey, I saw a skeleton horse. Can you go bring it
in this game?"
Yeah. Did you get this?
Didn't happen to me.
Oh my god, dude! This is awesome.
No, that is not a conversation that occurred.
No, like when you get to one of the first stables, as I was just walking around, the guy's like, "Hey, there's a skeleton horse. Only comes out at night. Can you get it for me?" I'm like, "There's a skeleton horse. Cool." So I go and I find it. By the way, I almost got killed because there's a Wizorb floating around, whatever that dude, the Zapper dude is. And you get the skeleton horse. There's like 2 or 3 of them in the area, and you get them and mount him just like any other horse. But they're real finicky when it comes to like rocks. So I had to like really be careful. But then I got like a little bit of ways around, and the unfortunate aspect of a skeleton horse is that because they only come out at night, that if you just happen to dismount it, turns into dust in the daytime.
During the day?
during the day, which is
Can you
stupidly cool. And I had to run all the way back to go get it.
Can you register it to the
I think
thing?
So. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, which it's just like
I've ridden on like 2 horses.
Okay.
But then I don't remember where a stable was, or like I find them not next to a stable, and then so I never bring it back, so I don't have a registered horse.
Sure. Yeah.
So
early on in the game, they're surprisingly not near the stables. The first like
they're
2 or 3
really
stables
not.
you bump into, they're not. So
like I'm not in, until you read, like, or at least when I was doing it, they don't respond to the whistle.
Yeah.
I think until you register it, it seems that way. I don't know.
Maybe.
So like I'm not gonna keep track of this random horse that I found.
Sure.
Like I got shit to do.
Yeah.
I'm busy, and if the horse doesn't come when I whistle, you're done. I'm done. Yeah. You're dead to me. I'm moving on. I'm gonna go back up the tower. I'm gonna shoot up into the sky. I'm gonna go glide to the next thing. I'm not gonna use that.
And I'm gonna take a few screen captures of me up in the sky. And it's so cool looking. Sorry,
for real.
Man, I'm loving this game.
But yeah, the horse was. I used it a bunch in Breath of the Wild, but
I used the horse a lot in Breath of the Wild.
But like you didn't have. I also wasn't a big fan of like chopping down a tree and then using stasis and then hitting it with a sword to send it into the sky. Like that wasn't my bag.
Yeah, that wouldn't do it.
What is my bag, however, is teleporting to a shrine in the sky and then jumping off in a sky island. Like I'll do that all day long, and I'm more than happy to do
that. Actually, I need to do that more often. Yeah.
You gotta add it into your repertoire.
I've hardly gone back up to the Sky Islands.
Your greatest mistake.
After I got that back to Hyrule proper, I'm like, oh, I'm done. I love the constructs. The constructs, by the way, have some of the best personalities. They're like the little robots that you meet away. Oh my gosh, they're they're all meant to be like helpers, but some of them like basically became evil. You'll get the story when you play. But their design is great because they're these long-necked, long-armed, like I don't know. It's like just robot Daleks, if you know Doctor Who. It's just they're just cool little characters, and they're like, hey, I'm chopping wood. I don't know why I'm chopping wood, but the humans used to make me chop wood. I know it's been a few thousand years since they've had me chop wood, but I'm gonna keep chopping wood. Can you make a hoverboard into your? Yeah, you can make a lot of shit. Have you not seen the Gundam that people have made?
If you keep your eyes out on Twitter, and you're gonna see all sorts of shit.
There's a website somebody created that people are now posting their recipes for this kind of stuff, so you can to make the orbital striker. Have you seen the orbital striker?
Yes,
dude, that's just now the guy's got it figured out where he can make it like essentially travel and home in on enemies, and he's like, this game just plays itself now.
Yeah, people are making real good use of that duplication glitch. Let me tell you, they are. Yeah. Because I've seen what it takes to get full batteries, and it's a lot.
It's a lot. Yeah.
But it almost makes me wish that I was a kid, because I would have loved to dedicate kid time to this.
I would have just spent plenty of time. I'm gonna be playing this game all summer. I already know it, just because I'll beat it this year for sure, and I may beat it sooner rather than later. But
this year, I'll beat it this year. Easy.
There's just so much. I feel like there's just.
Will
so
I
much
be done with it this year?
Yeah,
that's a different question.
I won't be done with it. This year. But man, I freaking love it's rare that I'm madly in love with the game, and I'm madly in love. I would marry Tears of the Kingdom. That's how much I freaking love this game. Did not expect myself to be this. I'm like, okay, it's cool. I'm hyped. It's a Zelda game, and Zelda and Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy are my top 3. They're all on like equal levels for me for game series, But that opening scene had me, and the opening scenes had me, and then like when you get off that Sky Island, that feeling where it's just like just jump. I know, man. I wanna. If the game ended there, I'm like that's all you needed. That's a full game. That's the experience. Resound, you got the Oscar.
There's just so much loving direction that's in there.
it's what's interesting as well to me. I say what's interesting, not what it is. Um, so there are a lot of different things to do in this game. Like you find that out really early. The Sky Islands and Hyrule proper, and then there's other stuff that you
Yeah,
find out about.
I don't even want to like. Yeah,
But
like
it's funny,
it's been a noticeable admission that like anybody who's played
they're not
who's played the
talking
game a
about
bunch,
certain things.
it's like, wait, why haven't they talked about this thing?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like like that's part of like I spent a lot of time there.
Me too, dude.
A
Me
lot.
too. Me too.
It is.
I'm like,
I think one of the
I got there
more,
early.
Yeah, I did too.
I'm like, I'm just gonna do this.
Oh yeah, no, I went down there after I was supposed
After
to.
you were supposed, I did. I went there before. I didn't even know I couldn't. So I'm like,
but
fuck it. I went there.
I think that it's one of the more impressive things visually, direction, like art direction. I don't know. I think it's an incredible addition.
It's constantly like they've done a good job of putting a little carrot out there to get you to think, to get you to say, I want to. In Breath of the Wild, because it was just focused on a big giant open world, and Elden Ring is kind of in the same way as this, which is like, okay, there's a bunch of stuff that I have to do. I have to check some things off my list. I'm kind of dreading going to this thing, but in Tears of the Kingdom, it's like I can't wait to do something. Now there's so much stuff that I want to do. It's like, oh gosh, there's the sky. I want to get back up to the Sky Islands because Taylor's talking about it, because there's other shit up there that I didn't see. But there's all this cool stuff that I want to experience in Hyrule, and then this other place, and then those other things that those 4 markers they've given you. I'm like, there's all this stuff that I want to do. I want to do it all at once now, and I can't.
I will say this: I look at it like the Sky Islands explore. There's much less up there, for one thing.
Yeah,
I think.
Initially, we don't know.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? Maybe it really goes.
Maybe the whole rest. Maybe it's ginormous. Yeah,
maybe. But for me, it's a means to the end. Means to an end, because there are shrines up there, and having warp points in the sky allow me to do other things that I want to do, and I like flying in the game feels pretty good.
Yeah.
And so I just want to be able to do it better.
The fact that you can leap off of something that's miles in the air and just like casually float down is just such a, I mean, the way that they've just made that draw distance work. They've made the game like this minimal stutter, minimal scene shifts to go from one area. They did a really solid job. And I want to try leaping from the highest point to get into the lowest point at some time in this game to see,
and dive it all the way. If you don't dive it all the way, you're a coward.
You're a coward. Dude.
Playland, your question, dungeon already out there compared to Sacred Beast. Similar, but I was talking with Zach about this. There's lead up to the dungeon itself, which in my opinion has come to envelop itself as part of the dungeon.
Okay.
Reaching it, in my opinion, is now part of that experience. It's not just self-contained like the Beast was, where, there was a quest line to get to it, and then you got to the Beast, and then you figured out its puzzles. For me, it much like, yes, there are bits and pieces that you do to like start that. It's like it's obviously a quest line, to get there, but it looks like, I mean, I'm not gonna say that part. There are open fields, kind of like play fields to reach those dungeons, and then you do things when you get there. And so all said and done, maybe the time is pretty similar, but the experience is much different, and I think in a positive way. I mean, the Tears as a game overall is about how big it is, how open it is, and how you can traverse it. and how they developed the dungeon speaks to that ethos.
Yeah, and I think it is important. Again, not really a spoiler, but anything dungeon related in this game, it's not like a traditional Zelda dungeon. It's sort of like between that and between the Sacred Beasts, because is it a dungeon? Yeah, it has definite. It's a big area you gotta get through, but
it still has
not
dungeon.
Like this is you don't get the boomerang from this to use it at. It's not like the traditional.
Yeah, I mean, like, I still want that. I still miss that. Like, I still want to go out. I still want to get a hook shot. Like, it's not even, you get. I'm trying to think. We'll wait a couple more weeks before I have this in retrospective type conversation about it. Mostly because I don't want to say too much about what you get when and that kind of thing. And that's where this conversation will delve into inevitably. But yeah, I still admit, like, it was still fun to do. Although Skyward Sword, playing it right before this one, is not the right way to do it, because Skyward Sword didn't do it perfectly. Although it did have some of the best, like the hook shot claws were really cool.
Yeah.
Yep. But I still miss the hook shot, and then the hook shot evolving into the long shot.
Mm-hmm. I always love that. Yeah.
I mean, everybody's a Ocarina of Time lover, so yeah. Anyway, I'll leave that where it is. But yeah, dungeons are still pretty good, but they are more Sacred Beast than they are
traditional Zelda.
Traditional Zelda dungeons.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
We'll leave it at that. And they're still optional, so I'm pretty sure. I mean, they said that the world record, like, last week was that somebody beat it.
94 minutes.
Somebody beat it in 94 minutes, and based on what I have seen so far, I'm pretty positive that means that these are optional. I don't think that you can do all this stuff and do the forward or do all of the dungeons. All that
stuff, yeah.
And then take down 90 minutes. I don't think you can. So you've got to beeline it.
Yeah. Considering the whole first area is essentially shrines and learning to use all your gear and stuff. But yeah. I'm enjoying the different ways to do things. I'm really glad Nintendo actually said, and again, the big change between this and Breath of the Wild isn't just the map, right? Because a lot of the map you may think is the same, but they've made enough tweaks and adjustments to stuff because of the tool sets they give you that they needed to make a lot of these changes and adjustments. So, like, just being able to mess around with stuff is wild.
I will say,
a whole different game.
I mean, like, I was not. I mean, I played the Breath of the Wild a bunch. Mm-hmm. I'm not a diehard. Mm-hmm. I didn't do it for like 300 hours. I didn't do it for the 1,000 hours that some people did. I probably put in 60-ish. I mean, which in my opinion is still
70 or so. Yeah,
pretty considerable for a game, in my opinion. Yeah. But then I didn't repeatedly go back to it or anything like that. For me, almost all of it feels
new.
Like, I don't look. I mean, I look at the map and be like, I kind of remember some of this.
Yeah.
Zora Falls and stuff like that, but I don't look at like, I can't believe that they didn't. That it's the same mountain.
Yeah.
That was there, but like, no, that doesn't affect. Matter. That doesn't affect me in whatsoever, and nor do I look at it and be like, I can't believe they didn't change that. That's all the same.
No, it's they did such a good job with this, with utilizing the map and whatever they did. I mean, again, I'm only 15 hours in. My 15 hours have been different than your 15 hours. We have similar amounts of hearts, similar amounts of stamina thing. I haven't gone to any dungeons yet. I've just been opening up the map, and I've been looking for freaking Korok seeds and improving my hearts. That's all I've been doing for these, and doing some of the side missions.
Yeah, I have to, man. I gotta find a shrine. I gotta find another statue because I've got.
You're holding so many of them.
Yeah, I got.
Just zoom back to the town.
I guess I could do that.
Yeah, that's the one thing. Got to find a statue. Then you get the pose. Don't forget the pose. Pray to the pose statue. But man, we're gonna be talking about this for weeks, if not months, because we're going to be discovering shit all the time. It's just kind of cool that we're all doing it at the same time. Yeah, I'm super impressed with it. I'm excited to see where it goes. I mean, I'm excited to see folks like James Austin Johnson, who's my favorite person on Saturday Night Live right now, talk about Legend of Zelda, which is like, man, it's like it literally is back to like, every year or two you get a cultural phenomenon game. Last year was Elden Ring. Before that was Animal Crossing. This year it's Zelda. It's like everybody's talking about the same thing, and it's just kind of cool that these types of instances can transcend just our little gaming sphere and become part of like stupid pop culture zeitgeist. And yeah, I'm hoping that the Writers Guild and the Screen Actors Guild strikes end fairly quickly, so you can get Saturday Night Live, so you can see a bunch of Zelda shit on there, because they're itching to do that.
That would be very funny.
So, but yeah, it's cool. It's Zelda, and they did a good job, and we'll talk about more because I'm curious to hear what the other guys talk about. So, yeah, what did let's see? Playland says you guys played about years before this one, but to tell me it'll be direct transition from game to game. Do you think it will be shocked when I finally play Tears?
It depends on what you mean by shocked. So, like, do you think that
you'll be able? Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, like I think that if you're asking, will you still feel the sense of wonder? Yes. Will you be shocked at like I can't believe they did this or this? No, because I don't think that's what they were going for. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's how you read it.
Well, I feel like yeah, I think maybe that's a good way. I also think from a narrative standpoint, in fact, if you just finished Breath of the Wild and then you play this, it's a direct. I mean, it continues like probably days after Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, I mean, maybe weeks.
Maybe weeks at most after Breath of the Wild is over. And you'll say, okay, this is the same costume he was wearing at the end or whatever in Breath of the Wild. Zelda was wearing this at the end of Breath of the Wild. And so it is a direct transition to the new game. And again, how they break it, because the only thing, again, 5 minutes into the game, you find this out. All the red stuff in Breath of the Wild that we saw is in this game again. It's like the red flame things that you find all over the place. They didn't really talk about it in Breath of the Wild. It was just an aesthetic, but they actually used it in this game, and they call it gloom. Yeah. And so Link and Zelda are just trying to figure out where this comes from, and that is the basis that it ties into the first game because of that, and that's when everything sort of opens up from that point, and that's what they're using to explain a lot of this stuff, and to me it works, and kind of how that all leads to. So yeah, I would, I think if you're just finishing Breath of the Wild, which sounds like you are, you're going to transition very well and very easily into this. Than Skyward Sword, even, which is Skyward Sword is just Skyward Sword is just lore for Taylor at this point.
Yeah, so, I mean, I did it essentially for the last fight. If you want me to be honest.
Yeah, exactly. So no, I think it'll be okay. But yeah, cool. We'll get into this more. It's already 10 o'clock. We've been talking for an hour and 40 minutes. It was just going to be me. We did it again, but it was all.
I mean, I showed up. That's how it goes.
You showed up, man. I'm proud of you. And everybody, the other guys couldn't make it, which is totally understandable. No problems. Like I said, JJ's under the weather. Zach is busy playing this and actually working as a writer and trying to get some stuff. Zach's been working on this cool game stuff. Hop into the Discord where you can find out about a lot of these cool things. We got a few reviews coming up here pretty soon that are going to be kind of fun and interesting. We got some giveaways. We've been handed some codes. Taylor, I sent you a code. Did you get it? Anything? Okay, cool.
I did.
All right, cool. We got some codes and giveaways, a bunch of giveaways, actually. So I'm kind of excited about that. And we're only getting these things because y'all are watching us. You're tweeting at us. You're in our Discord. You're hopping on the website. And we're so appreciative because what's typically a slow time between PAX and E3-ish, whatever it is for a second, it's actually been pretty busy, like view-wise and content-wise, which is kind of weird for me. I'm not all that used to it, but good anyways. Thank you. So yeah, thank you guys. And again, the publishers and the PR folks and the developers are saying, hey, you guys have a lot of viewers right now that hit our demographic. And so how about some codes and how about the stuff to give to your readers? I'm like, all right, cool. Thank you very much. With that said, find us sidequesting.com. Go to the Discord, SideQuesting TV on YouTube and Twitch. You can find us individually. You can see our tags there, but just go to the Discord. We have a great time in there. Even when we're just kind of stupidly poking fun at each other, hop on there because Zach always has awesome recommendations for cool, like niche horror movies. Taylor is always talking about which bird that we may or may not have seen.
That's true.
Stefan has the coolest food and it's making me completely jealous. Johnny is just a phenomenal artist when it comes to like just these little art, just the stories that he's telling in his one-offs there. Playland's always a blast to chat in there. Okay, Exagger Moose. All right,
you're talking about hockey. It's not even period 3. Get out of here.
It is not even period 3. We're hockey fanatics. Us Detroiters and Mr. Jersey over. We love hockey. It's all good. My Wings aren't in it, but I did stay up and watch a 4 overtime game last night. Let me rephrase that. I did watch the first overtime. I did fall asleep, and I did wake up every 15 minutes to catch the next overtime.
By the way,
yeah, man. Good times. Yeah, hockey. It's all good. With that, we'll see you on the next episode of The Side Quest.